Hey guys, Martin the Martian here to review the movie X-Men The Last Stand, right here, or as I like to call it, X-Men 3. X-Men 3 is directed by Brett Ratner, which is a different director this time. I didn't like the change of directors. I thought Bryan Singer did a good job. So seeing this new director come in and his different style of the X-Men, it just, throughout this whole movie, you can tell it's a different director and it didn't work as well. This movie stars Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Mckellen Patrick Stewart, and a lot more characters than ever. Okay, this review is gonna have it in order of pros and cons. I'm gonna tell you the good things and I'm gonna tell you the bad. Starting off with the good, I thought Wolverine, Storm, Iceman, and the plot were good in this movie. The plot in this movie is that the government has found this mutant that can potentially cure other mutants from their powers. And I say cure because it's not really curing, it's just taking away their abilities. And so half of the mutants are offended by this thought, saying, we're not a disease to be cured, we're who we are. And the other half of the mutants are wanting to be cured because they want to fit in with the rest of the society. Now, all in all, that's pretty much all I liked about this movie. Everything else I didn't really like. I didn't like how there was barely any Cyclops. I didn't like how there was barely any Professor X. I didn't like how there was barely any Mystique. Those three characters I really did enjoy in the last movie in specific, and seeing them hardly in this movie, it was a bit of a letdown to me. Now, in contrary of that, there being lack of those characters, there's a plethora of X-Men characters that it's just a bunch of cameos being thrown out there where you barely get any time to connect with these characters. You have like a minute with one X-Men or 5 seconds with another, seeing it on screen. Like, it's just, they're not really there. You know what I mean? They're just sort of bystanders. They're not actual characters. They're just people being there. Pyro, I did not like in this movie. I felt like he was a bit of a over his head character. He just was a henchman of Magneto. Once again, just like in X-Men 1, along with Sabretooth and Toad, I just didn't like him. Juggernaut in this movie, I did not like either. He was supposed to be this big, muscle-bound guy. He's supposed to be like the size of Hulk, around there, but he's not. He's just like the 6-foot-tall guy that happens to, I guess be a bodybuilder because of how big he looks, but it doesn't look that great, especially his costume. His costume looks awful. And even Magneto in this movie, I did not like Magneto. There were a few parts in this movie that I did like, but all in all, he did a lot better in the other movies than in this one. I just thought he had a lot of poor decision makings, or the way he thought, or executions to things. It didn't work out for me. And with that being said, throughout this whole movie, there's a lot of characters making a lot of poor decisions or dumb ideas or dumb thought processes. And along with the execution of this movie, the way some of the things wrap up in a little bow, it's supposed to be a trilogy, but the way this movie ends, it kind of makes it seem like there's more to come, but it's supposed to be a trilogy. I mean, it doesn't really, I don't know. And this one is a slight spoiler for you guys that have not seen X-Men 2, but Jean Grey is back in this movie, and she comes back as the Phoenix Force, which does not really work out for me because there's a lot of plot holes to this. They don't really explain how she comes back. They don't really explain why is she like this Phoenix Force, and it's not really explained. I feel like this movie did have a lot of potential with all the other X-Men characters being introduced and the Phoenix Force and everything, the division between these X-Men characters. It could have been a lot more dramatic and personal, but it didn't really work for what it is. Maybe it's a different director, maybe it's like the style of this movie, I don't know. But it did not sit with me, and I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5. It is not to infinity and beyond, and that's another phrase that I'm using now. So my next review is going to be for X-Men First Class, and I heard that one is actually pretty good, so I can't wait for that one. And let me know what you guys thought about this review. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.